that's a room with depth that there's a lot of guys probably hungry to fill in there. I've seen some young guys pop when we know what Jalen and Jaden can do as well.
Yeah, it's hard to lose a guy like DJ because he's one of those guys that was on that Fiesta Bowl team in 2020 and knows what the standard is for the kind of offense that we have. But we haven't lost him in terms of his leadership ability, and we do have some really talented young guys and new guys. So for them being able to lean on DJ for, experience, and he's caught big catches in big games here. So those guys have really been able to, get to know him even better. I know sometimes it's hard when you're the young guy and you have an older guy like that started, but he's been at all the meetings. He's done a great job being an asset to all of our guys, and a lot of those guys have had opportunities to go in there and make big plays and make mistakes and learn and grow. So it's been a great opportunity for them. But DJ's been awesome just from his leadership ability since him going down.
What's been your approach to handling the quarterback room? With obviously, like last year we saw Nate being the position coach, but we've seen it the other way. Just how have you tried to manage that, relationship?
Yeah, well, the nice thing for me now that I don't have the role in special teams that I've had the last couple of years, I could go in there for their Indy meeting now with Coach Waters and talk to them and see what they like. And, they can come to my office a lot of times now before. And I spent a lot of time before those scrimmages seeing what they like, their favorite third down, favorite drive starter, and things like that. And we all went out with our position groups to go eat dinner, and we timed it out. So they went down to a place in Ankeny, which is where I live, so I got to go down and meet up with them, and was involved in their recruiting processes. So it's awesome during camp because you just get to spend so much time with each other, and it's been fun to get to know Moberly and some of those new guys. But there's so much reps and there's so much chaos, just kind of like what Coach Haycock was telling you guys. So they get a lot of reps to go out there and learn and grow and fail, kind of like what I was saying, but we stick together through it. But they've done a good job.
Do you have to make sure you're putting more time into that group just by the nature of the position?
Yeah, absolutely. I like to know what they like. I like to know what their favorite stuff is, what they don't like. And the nice thing with Rocco having a year under his belt, he's comfortable telling me, I don't like this, I don't like that. And we're able to talk to him on the headset and stuff now where they can, we have little signals for stuff that they like and don't like, head taps, because they can't talk back to us. But we're very, very transparent. We've always met with our quarterbacks on Wednesday night and kind of went through the call sheet and seen what they like, had them rank their favorite plays, favorite shot plays, favorite drive starters. So getting in those guys' ear all the time in between periods. They don't have to do special teams, so I can go over there during Indy while they're doing their stuff and pull one of them aside, if it's whoever, and talk to them about what their favorite shot play is here. Once we get the drive started and we have a chance to go deep, what do you want to do? How do you want to start do you want to take a shot early? Do you want to get a completion early? So, letting them, feel involved in it and let them own their reps and be able to make choices and dictate how the drive's going to go, I think has allowed them to really spread their wings a little bit.
Week and a half away from the opener, give us an idea kind of how that offensive line might look as you get things started against North Dakota.
Yeah, we're still shuffling some things around. Obviously, Huff's been an anchor for us. He's played a lot of football here and has given us flexibility to move him around, from center to guard. He started games at tackle here in big games, so we've been able to plug and play a little bit. Tyler Miller got dinged. He's been back, so it was good for him to, get a breather and have some other young guys. So we're still shuffling some things around. It'll be relatively similar to probably how we ended last season with being able to move, one or two guys around. But, I wouldn't be surprised if we played with 6 or 7 linemen in the first week. They've all done a great job and deserve the chance to play.
And then an idea kind of on the younger guys that have really stuck out to you, maybe playing with the 2s or 3s or whatnot in camp.
Yeah, I think those young wide receivers have done a great job with Eskildsen and Overby, like those guys, for being true freshmen and coming in. And our offense is pretty hectic a little bit. We move, we shift, we do a lot of motions and move those guys around, and they've done a great job not only understanding what we're doing, but making plays within that. Eli's not necessarily a freshman, but he's done a good job of understanding what we're trying to do. Cooper Alexander's done a good job. He came in January, but for him to understand and be as physical as he is impressive. The Helton twins have done a good job as freshmen, going against older guys and holding their own. So offensively, we have some really, really talented young guys. Dylan Lee's another guy that he certainly, I forget he's a freshman because he's one of the biggest, strongest guys that we have. But the freshmen that we have on this offense are going to be really special. So they're going to do a great job this year.
We've heard you talk about playing the video game. I imagine calling plays in real life is a little bit different than that. How have you learned to call plays for the first time?
Yeah, obviously there's a little bit, the ripple effect of a play in the scrimmage, and especially versus Coach Haycock. Like, that guy's so brilliant at what he does and makes it a lot harder than going against anonymous 13-year-old from, you know, wherever, California, but it's different, and you have to, the clock moves a lot faster out there than it does in the video game too, so just trying to stay one play ahead and one step ahead and always thinking, you know, next play, it goes really, really, really fast, a lot faster than, you know, as you can imagine the video game does, but it has been good preparation for me just to kind of work through like 2-minute stuff and clock stuff and how that works, so it's been fun to do that, but it feels like someone's got a fast forward button on the clock out there in the stadium.
Last week, talking with Rocco and Coach Waters, they mentioned that you're going to be the one selecting the offensive play, but Waters will be the one communicating it through the headset to Rocco on the field. Why is that the strategy that you guys decided to select as an offense this year?
Yeah, so me and Jake sit next to each other in the box, and I was thinking, you know, with just me not being the quarterback's coach, like he meets with those guys a lot more, and me standing next to him is like, if there's things that he knows that I might not necessarily know just with sitting next to him in the meetings. And I give, you know, a lot of the stuff of what we say in general is just like situational reminders. Like we try not to overload the quarterbacks anyways with too much, but it's really just like a click of a button and he can give little reminders too, and I can tell him to Jake and he can tell him too, but I could really like stay focused on like the big picture stuff and still be able to talk to Jake and have him relay it to the quarterbacks, and he's on a different channel, you know, with those guys too. So I think I did it in the spring and liked it, and just with him being the quarterback's coach, and now it was different because Jake was going to be on the field before they switched like the accountable coaches rule.
Mm-hmm.
So now with that being changed, we're allowed, you know, now we can have Kyle down on the field with the quarterback. So that allowed me to bring Jake upstairs. And with Jake being upstairs, it was like, you know, he coaches a quarterback, so just have him talk to him. Like, you know, we could do it together a little bit, but just one less thing, you know, I have to worry about a little bit. So it's been nice.
No issues with time with that relaying it?
No, it goes out at 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So like I said, we did a lot of research with it in the off season, talking to NFL coaches that have used it, and we found that less is more. They had told me that less is more. I think when I did it in the spring, you know, it's so easy to just see the play and think big picture, but you give them all these tips and reminders. Next thing you know, you feel like you paralyze that guy a little bit. It's the last thing that we want. We want him to go out there, play with what he sees, and Rocco's so instinctual and sees the field so well. For us, it's just little reminders here, you know, make sure, you know, throw the ball away. It's touchdown, check down, those kind of situations, like can't take a sack here, those kind of 2-minute drill type situations, stuff, little reminders, you know, don't forget the back, those kind of stuff. So it's probably not as big of a thing as most people think.
You've talked plenty about the connectedness of the tight end room. How have you seen that group sort of holistically develop?
Yeah, I think where I've become really proud of those guys is just the accountability that they have within the room and how competitive it is, and just the detail and the note taking and the accountability. They come in with a bunch we have a lot of experience in there now, but they come in with questions every day, and they're just trying to really like be as detailed as they can. And so many people play in there where it kind of reminds me of like when I was the wide receiver GA here. Those guys can kind of clown on each other and hold each other accountable. It's a very much like a brotherhood, and everybody's got thick skin in there, and they get after me too. And it allows us to be really, really transparent, I think, with each other. We can be really honest, and it allows us to work through hard times faster and come back and know that it's not personal, and we can coach each other hard because we have a high standard in there, and we're going to have to be really good in that room for our offense to be better. So it's been fun.
Coach, it feels to me like Steve-O might be a little bit of an underappreciated player but within the locker room. What's the appreciation level for a guy like Steve-O Klotz?
Yeah, it's hard to put into words kind of what he means to our offense. Like, I think we're a different offense when he's not on the field, and he was hurt a couple games last year, and I think you saw our offense change a little bit. Just the attitude that he has, the selflessness that he has to do whatever it takes, and he can make big catches like you saw that last year, but his ability to win, you know, at the point of contact in space and at the line of scrimmage is something that's really hard to teach. And I love that he wears 49. Like we talked about him changing it. He wore number 8 in high school, and I think he kind of likes being like the last eligible number, you know, before, if you get to like the O-lineman, just 49 or something gritty about that number, where he can go out there and lead by example and, you know, run through a window and be able to be physical and set the tone. So when he's not able to practice, and I know what he could do, so we'd be able to take some reps off of him just to, you know, protect him physically a little bit. But I hate when he's not in the game, because I think he's just such a difference maker for our football team with what he can do. They're hard to find. Steve-O Klotzes are hard to find.
Coach, you referenced it a little bit earlier, what Coach Haycock was expanding on with the chaos that Coach Campbell likes to create. Is it fun to watch true freshmen encounter that? Because A, if they, do something bad, you've got something to teach. But also if they do something good, it's like, oh, well, you can be good in that situation, we can build off that, there's really nothing but learning in those situations.
Yeah, and it's chaotic for everybody. Like, I love to tell you, like, the other day was nuts. And it was great, and it was a lot of fun, but you really gotta like keep your knees bent. So to see like the freshmen be able to work through it and understand it, like Eskleton made a great play on like a signal play, it wasn't on our wristband, in a man situation on a 2-minute where he got vertical and created a rub in a period that we weren't necessarily supposed to have. But like the awareness for him to understand what we were trying to get out of the play, knowing he's not gonna get the ball, we just need him to get vertical and create a rub for the tight end, was awesome to see. But like when we do sudden change situations at practice, I think it really just tests everybody's like focus and where your attention span is. And like, as soon as you think that you're taking a rep off, like Haycock's blitz in a house and it's gonna be 2nd and long or 3rd and long fast, like you better show up and be ready to go, or it's gonna be a bad situation for you. So you better show up every day, or you're gonna get exposed by somebody in the building, defensive player, defensive staff, the head coach. It's like you got to be prepared for any and all situations, because at the drop of a hat, it could go sideways fast, which is fun, but it gets crazy.
Bramer was in here earlier and he said he didn't feel like he started camp well because he was in his head, but that has since changed. I guess, what have you seen before and after for him there?
The growth that he's had from the first part of fall camp until now, I think it just took him a little while to because he was coming off a little bit of an injury and it wasn't serious, but it's hard. And even like as a play caller sometimes, like to just get like your confidence back. And especially like I said, the tight end room is really competitive. We have so many great players on the offense. There's so many great players on the defense. If you don't feel at your best sometimes, it can be easy, especially for a young guy for anybody to get in your head a little bit, and self-doubt creeps into everybody. And for him to come back and just work through stuff, and for me to remind him just who he is and why he fell in love with the game of football, and it's no different than it was for him in high school than it is now, and just go out there and have fun and don't think so much and don't try to be perfect. Like he did last year when he came in, there was no expectations and he just played and understood it and had fun. It shouldn't be any different now. He's just 20 pounds heavier. He's prepared more. But don't overthink too much. We all have your back in there. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna coach R. We're gonna love you up, and you're gonna get yelled at, and you're gonna wake up, and it's gonna be fine. And come in and make plays and fail and learn and grow, and being able to build confidence through failure is a tough tool, but it's a good deal for me. It's a good deal for him, and it's been a good growth journey through fall camp for all of us to be at our best, especially him.
Is that type of situation amplified for a guy like him who's still very young, but now has expectations after what he did last year?
Yeah, I think it is, and it can be easy, especially like this time of the year where everybody's talking about what the expectations are and the people you have that come back. Like, what does that really mean? Like it doesn't mean a lot.
Sure. And
if all your focus is on like what the expectation or the potential is, like you're gonna lose track of like what your process is that got you there to be successful. And when that happens, like you just gotta refine your focus and really lean into what's got you here, who you are, what your foundation is as a football player, what your foundation as a coach is, because that's always going to get tested regardless if you're a sophomore, a redshirt freshman, a true freshman, a senior. I've seen it, when Charlie was here as a redshirt senior, and Chase when he was like a super senior. So those moments come, and football is such like a cutthroat sport, and it's so competitive, and there's so much. It's such an emotional game. Also, it can be hard to manage that for anybody. For me, for him. So just remembering what his process is and understanding we just got to get better every day and not to overthink it and just worry one rep at a time and one step at a time and brick by brick letting it build itself back.